Interestingly enough, my involvement in the community prior thereto had not been significant. What changed everything for me was an experience I had in Jerusalem. My parents sent me $2, which was a lot of money in those days, together with the ticket, so that I could give charity when I was there and thereby be safe on my voyage. On the very last day, I was walking on the street in Jerusalem, and coming up facing me was a man dressed very, very shabbily, with rubber tires on his feet instead of shoes. I said, that's got to be where I should be giving this $2. I crossed him and put the $2 in his hand, as it turned out, and kept on walking. As I was leaving, he put his hand in his pocket and took out a grosch. A grosch is a hundredth of a pound. It was worth less than a cent. But to him it was important. And he gave it to me. And he said, Be a shliach mitzvah. And I think that changed my conception of what I should be doing within the Jewish community during the course of my life. So I became involved in the community as a result of that.
I remember it very clearly, going back to grade 11, and we were in third class. The class at times was very boisterous, and Mr. Spracklin, who was known as Barney, had difficulty controlling the class. So this particular day, the class was more than boisterous. And Mr. Spracklin, in a fit of anger, called out, "What is wrong with you people? Don't you people know how to control yourselves?" When in the back of the classroom, that tall, thin, gangly kid stood up and he said, "Sir, Mr. Spracklin, what do you mean by you kind of people?" And I remember saying to myself, that took a lot of courage. This kid someday is going to amount to something. And Yoine Goldstein certainly did.
He was always a leader, and I guess he always knew he was going to go into law.
I practiced a great deal in the fields of bankruptcy and insolvency. I published in that field. I taught at the University of Montreal.
He is really a legend within the legal community in Montreal.
He's a hell of a lawyer with a first-class mind, thorough beyond belief.
I wish that every lawyer in this city has the opportunity to work either with or opposite Yoine, because we all learn so much when Yoine is in the room.
Yoine became one of the most effective of Jewish community leaders. I suspect that there's not a Jewish community organization that has not been the beneficiary of his talents, his time, and his commitment, whether we talk about the Jewish National Fund, whether we talk about Federation.
He's effective, he's smart, he's a hard worker.
He's had top executive positions in most every fundraising and charitable event and organization in the city.
Yoine cherishes Jewish education and all the values that education represents.
Jewish education is the most fundamental tie which the coming generation will have to Judaism, because there's no other real tie available. The only way we can keep these young people Jewish and committed to being Jewish is to educate them Jewishly.
He's an incredibly passionate guy. He cares about people, and he wants to make the world a better place.
He's one of the founders of the Fondation de la Tolérance.
For Yoine, this was fundamental. Each and every individual had the right to be treated with dignity and respect. These are deeply Jewish values, they're deeply legal values.
Ce que Yoine Goldstein représente, c'est vraiment les valeurs of tolerance, of who you are, but what we are as a society, as Montrealers.
I served on a variety of committees of the foundation for some number of years. And I was asked to become the president of the foundation a number of years ago. By then, the foundation had become a living, dynamic thing through the leadership of previous presidents and Bobby Kleiman. I really didn't have to do anything except watch, because everybody else was doing what had to be done in a very efficient, very effective kind of way.
The thing that people would be surprised to know is if they knew everything that he does, they then say, wow, you know, how does he do it all?
When he became senator, that was a magnificent recognition of his achievements to that point and a great platform for him to make significant additional achievements.
He was part of the group that contested certain provisions of the language legislation, so it was a very important and courageous move on their part.
One of the bills I'm proud of was a bill to force any government, when it was considering an investment by a foreign country, one of the criteria that would have to be considered would be the human rights record of that country.
He has a tremendous capacity for persuading people to come along with him. He turns them around, he really does. I've seen it so many times, getting through very, very difficult negotiations.
He's not a pounder on the desk, and very few pounders on the desk, generally speaking, succeed in convincing people. You convince people by the strength of your arguments, the articulate way in which you fashion them and present them, and on your reputation as a credible person.
Yoine ennobled the Senate at a time when the Senate was becoming more known for those, regrettably, who did not bring credit to it.
The National Post wrote an article, if they could have more senators like Yoine Goldstein, the Senate would be a much better institution.
He wasn't shy to represent the Jewish community and to represent his own Jewish heritage as a senator. He was proud to be the Jewish senator.
He really stands up for what he believes in, and that's what he did in the Senate. He was amazing. He really didn't let anybody get away with anything.
Certainly, I don't think Yoine could have accomplished what he did without Elaine's support, and vice versa. She shares so many of his passions because she herself is a communal leader.
I've had the great good fortune to be married to Elaine, who has been more than a wife. She's been a partner and has obviously made a huge difference in my life. I think I've made a little bit of difference in hers, but you'll have to ask her.
I fell in love with his voice. I don't know if I've ever told him that. We had many long conversations before we actually met. I really loved his voice. We liked each other and we started seeing each other, and we got married a year and a bit after. He's a wonderful father. In spite of the absences, when the children were little, he used to come home and to play with them before they went to sleep, and then he would go back to the office.
I'm committed to my family. I'm committed to my country. I'm committed to Israel.
He is probably the most honest, straightforward, ethical person I've ever met.
He's diverse in his community involvement. He is erudite, he's intellectual, and he's hardworking.
What a mensch, what a caring person, what a friend. I felt so privileged to be with Yoine Goldstein, and that's why I'm so happy he is the man of the year.
People look at Yoine and they say, that's integrity, that's the definition of integrity. And so it's like an honor for us to be honoring him, because he's what we hope people, when they think of the Jewish Community Foundation and trust and integrity and forward thinking, that's what Yoine is.
You should have the strength and the health to continue doing the wonderful things that you are doing right now. Traveling with Elaine, getting involved in your community, and giving of yourself to everybody around you.
The community loves you for it. I love you for it. Ronnie loves you for it. And we'll always be great friends.
Everyone who knows Yoine Goldstein is proud to say, Yoine Goldstein is my friend.
Congratulations to the Jewish Community Foundation on picking a wonderful honoree. I love you, darling.